Is it week 3, week 4, week 5? Who knows? The Northern Region football schedule is out of whack. We're not here on the Bendorf bench, coming to you tonight from Brian's Grill in Fairfax. Welcome back to the Bendorf bench. I'm Dan Rubin from the Journal Newspapers, joined this week and every week by Mark Bendorf, head football coach of the Robinson Rams, Pete Bendorf, activities director at Madison High School. First things first, we'd like to thank the people who make this show possible, our underwriters. Ford Quality Care Service Center, 703-383-6299, servicing all makes and models. CCI Screen Printing, 703-978-0257, the complete apparel design company. All right, welcome back. Guys, first things first, we want to delve into some of the rumors that you guys are putting together a bid to buy the new baseball team, the Bendorf Consortium. No?
Yeah.
That would have to be Pete now that he's an administrator.
I forgot. No, first we're going to talk a little about the scheduling. The past few weeks have been crazy for everybody. I think there was a stretch of time there. It was almost like the college football ESPN schedule. There were games almost every night of the week. What has that done to the season? Is it possible to get it back on track? Any sense of normalcy? And how long do you think that'll take to kick in?
Well, actually, this week they're attempting to get all the games back on a Friday schedule, although there were some games that were already scheduled to be Saturday, for example, Herndon and TC and Annandale. But, unfortunately, we have experience with this in the past with the sniper situation and, other weather events. And it's not a lot of fun. It's tough.
Obviously, you're on the other side now. You're on the decision-making side. Does it kind of create a little hectic situation for you
Yeah,
guys?
it is. And I'm telling you, you're not comfortable with it at all. Anytime you make that decision to postpone a game, there are regional guidelines that you follow. Regional policy says that you play the next available date. The weather hit us at the worst time because we had the Jewish holiday, which blocked out 4 possible playing dates over a 2-week period. Obviously, we had tornadoes in the area that Friday night that everybody was trying to play. That was kind of crazy. And the other thing that was a little bit unnerving was the Hurricane Jean was predicted to come up here Monday and Tuesday. Fortunately, it held off to Tuesday, and everybody got their games in Monday. So
And also the dreaded back-to-school nights play at some of the games.
There's to me, there's way too many, things that people you've got to accommodate and this and that. And the ironic thing is we end up putting out a lot of families that are involved in athletics because these are non-play nights. The other rule that is a regional rule that was put down by the sports medicine people was for football, which is different than all other sports, is that you have to have 3 complete days in between games, so you can play every 4th day.
So those like we talked about this before the show. Some coaches are a little upset at times of when their games are played and when the decision-making process is made. Who's actually the person who makes the final call on that? Is it just the administrators following guidelines? Is it the coaches getting together?
Well, from my end, and I think because of my background as a coach, I take all the information I can get, and I go and I talk to my coach, and I said, here's what we're faced with. What would you like to see happen? And then we try to see if we can work it out. That's not the case at all schools. Some people just make the decision. Ultimately, the decision rests with the principal, who most of the time delegates it to the DSA. But ultimately, they're the ones because if something happens, we have a weather-related situation, somebody gets hit by lightning or something like that, they're going to be the first ones in line, and then on down the line. I would hope that in most cases the coaches are consulted because they're the ones on the front line there. They're the ones who got to deal with the preparation. They're the ones who got to deal with the kids. There's so much that the public doesn't see and doesn't know. And it's never an easy decision, and you're never going to please everybody.
I assume the kids are probably the most resilient ones throughout the process. What kind of effect does it have on the players from your point of view? Because you've been, obviously, like you said, you've been going through this pretty much every year now.
It has a big effect because football is routine-driven. It's very structured, and even to the point of certain days are 2-minute drill day or goal line day or certain special teams. And there's, as Pete mentioned, recovery is very important, putting together game plans, a scout report, and it becomes very difficult when you start juggling the days around The other part where it becomes a little bit emotional in terms of other coaches getting upset is where the next opponent maybe is on a different schedule.
Right.
So the interval's different. And that's when people get concerned, because you also have to factor in JV and freshman games, because that impacts the coaches and the team. So it becomes quite a challenge. Pete said a couple shows ago that he thought some of the problems with scheduling due to the sniper and 9/11 impacted on some coaching attrition.
Sure. I think the other thing that happens is, and this is not a good thing either, is we as a region. The positive of this is we don't panic when there's these situations. We have a pretty good understanding of what to do. But there's also this, well, if we don't play today, we'll play tomorrow, or we'll play the next day, and we'll juggle the schedule. It's a bad way to approach it. We should, and I'm a homecoming, which is this weekend at Madison, is traditionally a Saturday afternoon game. I moved it to Friday night for a couple of reasons, but one, I wanted I think Friday night is high school football night, and maybe I'm a little bit old school when it comes to that, but Mark said it clearly. Routine is important. The fans show up Friday night. They don't show up on Saturday. The band has conflicts. Everybody's got conflicts when you go to Saturdays. Keep it Friday night. That's where it is. Saturdays are college football days. Sundays are pro football days.
Speaking of old school, a guy I know you guys have a lot of respect for, Dick Adams, won his 100th game as a football coach at Annandale this past week. Annandale obviously having a very strong season thus far. Talk about what it means to win 100 games. And Mark, we talked before the show, you're the next in line with 86, so we figure you'll get this by, if not by the end of the season, sometime early next season. But talk about Dick, and he's one of those guys, when anytime you talk to coaches, I've been fortunate to talk to people speak with him about it, they have a lot of respect for the guy.
Yeah, and in this day and age, to have the success and longevity to reach that landmark, that's a great accomplishment for Coach Adams, and he really is Annandale football. He played there, he coached there as an assistant, and I don't think anybody will argue that he doesn't get the most out of his personnel.
Yeah, I sent him an email today congratulating him. 100 wins and 50 against 55 losses at Annandale High School. Tradition-rich school that has had 50 years of great football. But what you don't realize is that the demographics has changed drastically from those early years when they won 6 state championships. He's the one constant. He's persevered through that. He's kept the tradition. The day that Dick Adams leaves Annandale High School, it'll be a sad day for football in Northern Virginia, certainly for Annandale. My hat's off to him. It's a tremendous accomplishment. It's a tremendous accomplishment in the district that they play in, the level of football, and the things that have gone on during his 15 years at Annandale High School. I mean, it's changed a lot from the day he entered that school, even when he was a player there. It's quite an accomplishment.
Of course, you get him in week 10. Preparing to go against a team like that is a little extra stress in there. You know that there's going to be a little bit more in the mix.
We've been playing them for so long and so many years. We know what to expect. And the scary thing this year is they've got a lot of talent on this team, and he knows it. And it didn't come as a huge surprise to me that he was able to upset Centerville. And
second year in a row they beat them. That's a strong statement.
Yeah, and then last year gave Westfield their best game, and we were fortunate to get out of that game. The other thing I'll say is one of the things we talked to our team about, we obviously stress tradition, but I think Annandale is the persona of that. They never changed from their black shoes when everybody went white shoes. Their uniform and helmet decal are the same. You go into the stadium, they play 1950s big band music. It's just like stepping back into time. And they're going to play whistle to whistle, first quarter to fourth quarter. So you better be prepared when you go over there. You absolutely better.
Of course, Annandale's the school with the most state championships in Virginia with 6. We're going to take a look back now a little bit at what went on in this last week when things a little bit got back on track, still a little bit disjointed. First score we're going to look at is Madison 54, Wakefield 14. Of course, you had a bird's eye view for this game. Madison, after losing their first game, seems like they've righted the ship.
They're starting. Madison, we got a young team this year and are making a lot of progress weekly. Warren Anderson, our quarterback, who's taken over, is very talented. He's getting more comfortable each week. We moved some people around, and really everybody pitched in. We played over at Wakefield, who's got a brand new synthetic turf field, which was kind of a neat experience for the kids. Wakefield, the program is struggling. There's no nice way to say it. I've seen a lot of high school football in my day. They've got a ways to go. It was fortunate for us. We got up early and let everybody get opportunity to play, which, as you get into your district schedule, the games are very, very important. Sometimes it's difficult to get everybody in. So it was a good win for us, and we have homecoming this week with McLean.
As a team that's often had very large leads, it's got to be good for the psyche of the team when a lot of other kids get in the game, the kids who've been working hard at practice, etc.
That's the best part about it, because they're putting in the same amount of time, and just because maybe they're not as talented doesn't mean they don't shouldn't deserve a chance to go out there. Their moms and dads and friends are in the stands too, so that's always a neat thing. The other thing is some of your young players and your future frontline guys, you get a chance to give them some experience. So it is a neat thing. The other thing you want to do is get your starters out of it so that you don't get somebody hurt. In one of those games, and the sportsmanship part
Sure.
of it too.
Next game, a very big game, and a game that I think could have implications very much down the road. Herndon over Hayfield, 30-24 in double overtime. Traditionally, actually, probably over the last 4 or 5 years, the winner of this game usually has a very good shot at that last playoff spot, or has been certainly in the mix. Is it possible to put that kind of emphasis on a game this early in the year? And obviously, it's a very close game.
Yeah, I mean, it's an overtime win. I know my last couple of years at Oakton, we secured the number 4 spot in the playoffs, and we beat West Springfield both of those years in the third week of the season, and it was a critical win. We ended up 7-3. They ended up 6-4. That's similar to what you're getting in with this game. Two teams that are pretty talented and certainly will be in the mix. Both of them have some real tough district games ahead of them to play. That's why winning this game for Herndon is obviously
It's huge.
It's big for them, and it's a double overtime game, so obviously it was hard fought right down to the very final play, which I believe ended on an interception.
Yeah. Our next game, Westfield over Jefferson, 50-13. Continuation of the Evan Royster show. Who rushed for 250 yards and 5 touchdowns in the first half. So hopefully you played him on your fantasy team this week. That would be a big winner. Talk about that. Westfield, obviously their defense, people have moved the ball on them more this year, but their offense seems to be clicking once again, even with 2 guys who are pretty much in Tech's mix right now.
Thing I hear out of Westfield, and I think they've had some injuries early in the year that slowed some of their progress. But I think the other thing that you realize is they're now hitting their stride a little bit. I think Jefferson's got a pretty good club, and I think they have an opportunity to make an impact on the Division 5 level. It will help them playing this game.
Sure.
Royster, obviously, there's no surprise. He's certainly one of the finest players in the region, and proved that again with his performance. I expect to see Westfield get better and better as these guys are now moving into starting roles, start to get their confidence. Got quality coaching staff there, and they're used to winning.
And ironically, they have more players returning on defense than they do offense. And I think it's just a matter of circumstance. They're still very good on defense, and if challenged, I'm sure that they'll come through.
Our next game, Mount Vernon, 20-19 over Langley. Also, I believe, an overtime game.
Yeah, it was another overtime.
And another game that you look at and you say, Langley harbored playoff hopes entering the season, kind of off to a tough start. That's a game that could. This was the Division 5 championship game about 3 or 4 years ago.
There's a bad disease going around football, and not just high school football, but college football as well. And pro football missed kicks. Unfortunately for Langley, I believe they missed a field goal in regulation and had the extra point block, which obviously is, Mount Vernon caused that. It's tough to lose. People have lost some close games. Again, special teams is critical. It's not all on the kicker all the time. It's protection and snap and hold and all those kind of things. Langley's lost some close, tough games. I know that That hurts you because you're counting on them for some power
Go
points.
Saxons, right?
Yeah, Mark's
Power
rooting
points,
for 'em
'cause
now.
it's not a common opponent, absolutely.
But good win for Mount Vernon, and again, we'll see what happens with Langley. Coach Howerton, they won't fold 10, and certainly they'll be heard from when they get in the Liberty District.
Your impressions of Langley after the first week when you saw him?
I thought it's got a solid club. It's a good line. The back, Bacon, I think
Trevor
is his
Bacon.
name.
He's been
who
over
had-
200 twice.
Yeah, 200, over 200, 209, I think, against Jefferson. A good running back, and I think it's just a matter of them getting some momentum and getting some confidence.
A couple breaks go their way, too.
Right, because it sounded like this game certainly could have gone the other way.
Sure. Next up, Lee 24 over South Lakes to 7. Liberty District game. Lee, the defending Liberty District champion, and pretty much a whole new cast of characters there now, and a new coach. Pretty convincing win. South Lakes obviously struggling.
Yeah, it's hard to get a read because, South Lakes played Yorktown relatively close in week 1 and had 2 tough outings the last 2 weeks. Lee didn't play well early first week of the season, has now seemed to kind of be moving in the right direction. And a lot of that's finding out. You got a new coach and new players, finding out where they fit. There's talent at Lee, that, and I think South Lake's obviously going through a transition with coaching changes as well. Could be 2 teams heading in opposite directions.
Right. Okay, and here was the biggie. I was fortunate to be at this game. Robinson 23, Oakton 17. This was a heck of a game. Just from what I remember of it. First quarter, kind of back and forth, not too much scoring. Then you guys kind of took control of the game in the second quarter. I almost thought you guys kind of were threatening a little bit to run away with it. Oakton made a real nice comeback, and the game really came down to the last few minutes. A game like that's got to be good experience, because I think the one common theme we heard after the game was these are two. A lot of people expected that these teams could meet again down the line, and is that a kind of game that you kind of put in the memory there and remember and use as a preparation for not only the rest of the season, but what it's going to be like to play in the playoffs?
Well, first of all, you're right, Danny. It was a hard-fought battle. We felt real fortunate to get out of there with a W. But the other part of it was we really needed to be tested. And, both of our scrimmages were somewhat lopsided. And although Chantilly played us extremely tough, we really didn't know where we stood. So, I was pretty happy with the way we responded. We did make some glaring mistakes. I mean, through 2 interceptions, one in the first quarter to end our first possession, which was, we made 2 first downs. We're driving, and then a critical one in the fourth quarter. But the game could have gone the other way. Oakton had the ball, as you said, at the end. Really had 2 possessions down inside across the 40-yard line. So
I think they had the ball twice in the fourth quarter on the 26 or closer.
Yes.
And a shot really at the end zone. The one play, unfortunately, kid dropped the ball going into the end zone, but very close game.
Yeah.
You were there.
Yeah, I tell you what, and obviously that's the first Robinson-Oakton game that I've seen as a fan, and
Nonpartisan, I might add.
I was up there with my son, and for
Peyton
my
Manning
son,
Jr.
his 2 uncles were coaching, and so it was kind of a neat thing. But to me, it was third week of the season. It had playoff atmosphere, a lot of intensity. Robinson, I thought, played very well, especially early on. The thing that surprised me is, not surprised me. It didn't surprise me. The game was 17-7 at half, or 17-3 at half,
Right.
and Oakton really responded. I thought they did a great job adjusting at halftime. They put together a nice drive, start the second half. Conversely, Robinson responded right away to that to go back up 24-10.
23.
23-10, right? They had missed extra point, and then Oakton came right back, and they played. They played extremely well fourth quarter. I think the interesting thing that I saw that game was a coming out party for both quarterbacks. Matt Goff, your quarterback, I thought played very well,
Especially running the ball.
Yeah, and I think both defenses did a great job taking away the running game, or trying to take away the running game to a point. Not let their better players beat them. Although a couple of
It's fair to say, yeah, the defense, Oakton focusing on Lucas Caparelli,
Right.
Oakton focusing on Keith Payne.
Yeah, but it not only that, it takes a kid to be able to make the play when he gets the chance, and he certainly did that. And I thought he was a huge factor kicking the ball.
Yeah.
The other thing is Oakton had been playing 2 quarterbacks, and I think Teschner clearly especially in the second half, showed that he can be the leader of that team, and I thought he handled himself extremely well down the stretch. And made some plays for him and showed a lot of poise.
Well, yeah, it seemed like the more pressurized the situation, he was actually better than he was, I thought, in the beginning of the game, which I think is a huge testament to the kid.
They're tough to defend. They've got a lot of weapons. And they've got Payne in the backfield, and of course Nalepa, who's also a returning starter.
And Bobby Fitton.
And Fitton is a very dangerous weapon. They run him on the jet sweeps, and they've got
Brando Smith.
Yeah, good receivers,
and then
they
Cody
bring
Grimm,
in.
we haven't even talked about.
Cody Grimm is a guy you better know where he is all the time. So they are so multi-talented and multi-dimensional. I mean, because if you gang up to try to stop the run, they can spread it out and get 4 en route in a hurry and beat you that way. And if you back off them too much, they'll bludgeon you. So and they play great defense. So all the pieces are in place for them.
Yeah, I think the neat part is it was a very special game this early in the season, one that will have some ramifications down the road. I mean, obviously from Robinson's end, you got to feel good because that's such a big win for you. For Oakton, it puts pressure on you down the line. You still got to play Centerville, Westfield, Herndon. You got some big games coming up, so they can't afford to stumble. Maybe only one more time. If you get to 3 losses, you're challenged. It was a critical game and well played by both teams.
All right, the last game we're going to look at from last week, WT Woodson 14-13 over Fairfax. I get this. Woodson has been a team that's kind of been, even though they have a new coach, they've been good the past few years. Fairfax has been down. That tells me that Matt Shannon's obviously made some serious progress over there at Fairfax.
Well, I think a key Liberty District game, obviously.
Right.
It's a close game won by Woodson, so those games are pivotal in your season. I think you're dead on. I think Matt Shannon's going to do an outstanding job at Fairfax. I thought that when they hired him, and I think it's just a matter of time before they get the ship righted. Those close games will turn their way, I'm sure. Woodson, new coach, but it's Jerry Pannoni
I think he's
proven
even
himself.
raised the bar
Right,
there a notch.
he's a proven coach. He did an outstanding job turning the Lee program around. He's taken a Woodson program that was already good and a perennial playoff team. They're going to.
They've started very strong too.
Yeah, and I think they'll continue. They have some. Matt Eckerson is a heck of a back over there, and certainly a weapon. And they'll be tough to contend with. We play them in 2 weeks. Madison, so that'll be a key game.
That is a big Liberty District game. Okay, we're going to take a quick look at a few games coming up this week. First one, West Springfield at Hayfield, a pivotal, like we said, Hayfield gets off the Herndon game and then has to come back a pivotal Patriot District game. Kind of the Patriot District opener. Hayfield's almost, you don't want to say it's a must-win situation, but you really almost have to say that right now with the rest of the way their schedule looks.
Yeah, for both teams it is that way, and West Springfield's going into it. Sounds like without Joey Scaff, they're a very talented quarterback.
Yeah, I think you want to play, especially if you have a loss in your D6 team, you got to look at, if you put it in 5-game segments, you need to be 4-1 and 4-1 at the minimum. If you get to 3 losses, now you're going to need help to get into the playoffs, especially with there's a lot of good D6 teams out there. It's not as bad on the D5 side, so Hayfield can't afford another stumble there.
I would agree. I think D6 this year, in the time that I've been up here, there are more teams I think that have a legitimate shot at a playoff spot than maybe in 6 or 7 years, which really.
Well, I think what it is clearly Robinson and Westfield still have very strong squads.
We all know that. That's an old line.
And Centerville certainly, but you throw Annandale, you throw Oakton in the mix, you throw the West Springfields, the Herndon,
Hayfield,
and Hayfield in the mix. There's a lot of teams that have a shot, and these games that you're just talking about when you get these head-to-head matchups are critical.
And of course, the flip side of it is there are going to be some good teams sitting home in playoff time too.
I can tell you that I think you might have some people rooting against Lee this year, as Lee took a Division 6 spot last year. You look at that this year, that could knock out, if that does happen again, that could knock out an extremely good team.
Sure.
Next game we're going to look at Mount Vernon, Yorktown, kind of a pivotal National District battle. These teams tend to always be in the mix for the National District title.
Both playoff teams from a year ago. Typically, they always are. This is a game you look for early in the year, see who wins it. That'll tell you a lot about the National District.
The last game we're going to take a look at, Robinson versus West Potomac, Mark. This is a traditional Patriot District battle. West Potomac maybe not where they once were. This is a team that never finished below 500 since it was open, and then now it's kind of struggling.
Yeah, but they're still the same type of players they've always had in my assessment, and still a very capable team. We're going to prepare for them like it's a playoff game.
The last Patriot team to beat Robinson was Potomac.
25 games ago.
Not so fast, my friend. No, we take them very seriously. We know they'll come after us. We're certain of that.
Okay, like we were saying, the Hayfield-West Springfield game is this week's Fairfax Sports Network and Cox Communications Game of the Week. Games air Saturday at 6 p.m. on Cox 35 and repeat every day at 5 a.m. and 6 p.m. Set your TiVo for that. And then also the high school game of the week every week. Hayfield-West Springfield next week. The classic Robinson at Lake Braddock Tilt, followed by Centerville-Westfield game, which I want to get off work early for that one. Parking will be very difficult. Then you have Lee at Madison, a game that pretty much decided the Liberty District last year. And don't forget the Fairfax Sports Report, brought to you from Brian's Grill, University Mall in Fairfax, Thursday night at 8, Friday at 12:30 p.m. Cox Comcast Channel 10. Please come down and join us here at University Mall, Fairfax at Brian's Grill, located at Braddock Road and Route 123. Be part of our live audience as these two shows are taped every Wednesday night.
All three of our live audience.
And including our family members. And you can also check us out on the web, FSN on the web, www.fairfaxsportsnetwork.com. Of course, none of this would be possible without our sponsors, underwriters, Ford Quality Care Service Center, servicing all makes and models, 703-383-6299. And CCI Screen Printing, 703-978-0257. Guys, we're not going to have a lot of time to get in this, just one quick second. For those people who are fans of Northern Region football and have been over the past few years, the team you want to be checking out now is Virginia Tech. We talked about it, loaded with Northern Region players.
5 Northern Region starters on offense. Mike Emo, John Kinzer, Will Montgomery, Martin from Chantilly, and of course Eddie Royal.
Well, and then you got Kerry Wade and Mike Daniels on defense at 2 times. So
With the all Robinson backfield, it's quite an impressive array of talent.
Can I get him back?
I'm not sure that's going to happen.
Don't forget Chad Cooper and
That's right.
There's too many
Chad
names.
Grimm.
17 Northern Region guys in the team. We thank you guys for being here. We'll be back next week on the Bendorf Bench.